This is for the city, Miami, my city, for the city, Miami, my city. This is for the city, this far.
Team owner, Mickey Arison, President Pat Riley, GM Andy Ellsberg, the architects of this group behind me, and head coach Eric Spoelstra. Please come get your shiny ball trophy here. There we go. If you can get you by that microphone there. We got to socially distance. What can I tell you?
Hey everybody, welcome to the 4th episode of the MHM Reboot. This is your co-host, Daniel Castro.
What's up, everybody? I'm your co-host, OMAR. You know, the duo's back, but we're coming to an end. This is episode 4. Episode 5 will probably be the end of this, but it was fun.
It was a fun ride. Memories, all the memories coming back.
We'll wrap it up too in episode 5. We're gonna talk about all that stuff in the Big 3 era, but we'll save that. We'll save that
for later.
All right, start us off, man. Well, you know what? Let's just get our feelings off about Game 6 and what happened there. So 106.
Set it up.
Yeah, 106-93 was the final score. Your Miami Heat at one point were down by 32 points. I'm pretty sure.
I think it was like a 34, 35.
Let me just say, I was watching this game at work and I turned it off. I was not out of. I wasn't upset. I wasn't I wasn't tearing up or anything, but I was just like, damn, I just can't keep watching this. Like every time I feel like they're gonna do something, the lead gets even bigger, and I was like, you knew it was gonna be over. After that lead reached 15, you knew it was just gonna be over, and I just say what you want. Say I don't have any guts. Say I can't believe you don't believe in your team, this and that. But at the end of the day, I'm still pretty realistic about things. So that was that, and I was like, yo, if they can make a second half run and at least make things interesting, I'm not gonna give up. But at some point, I turned the game off. I think in the third quarter is what I did, and I couldn't bear to go back and watch them celebrate. I just couldn't do it. I don't want it to, because again, at the end of the day, I do support LeBron, but I just couldn't bring myself to open that just to watch them celebrate. And it wasn't even in the arena or anything with the Staples Center. So I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna just let the dust settle, and then we'll talk about it later.
The great thing is, Heat fans avoided the COVID super spreader that was happening outside of the Staples Center. It was they did for the general.
Miami would have been crazy though, you know that.
Oh yeah, pots and pans everywhere would have been bad.
Oh my god, yeah, right, yeah.
But no, I mean, I'm not gonna say you're gutless at all. I mean, in the second quarter, I already was midway second quarter, I was like, this is done. You could just see that the steam, all the gas, all that buildup that the Heat have developed, all that that edge that the Heat had was gone. You know what I mean? Yeah. Jimmy Butler looked absolutely exhausted. Bam Adebayo had a rough start to that game. Again, he looked like he was compromised with his injury. He wouldn't get it going until the fourth quarter when the game was already, in the bed, and in the books. But for me, really what was solidified, this is not going to happen for the Heat, was playoff Rondo, full force. Just completely destroying the Heat off the dribble. It was disturbing to watch. He turned into prime Rondo with the Celtics. And when I saw that, I was like, yep, this game's done. And then Caruso in the starting lineup, they went small. Dwight Howard was on the bench. He out-hustled half of the Heat. And, it's one of those things where that's what really bothered me early on in that game was the energy, the effort. it wasn't there. The only person I really could not criticize at all was Jimmy Butler. Um, so it was clear that, not necessarily that the better team won, because again, I keep going back to the fact that if Bam Adebayo and Goran Dragic were not injured, I honestly think that things would be different, or at the very least, there would have been a game 7, and I think that's fair to say. Um, so let's talk about that real quick before we start talking about how we felt about the run and everything as far as what the Heat accomplished. But let's
Yeah.
just take a moment. Let's talk about Goran Dragic, because I was really impressed for him gutting it out in that final game, and in the game 6, and finding the means to get on the court. I thought that was incredible, and I'm happy for him. But again, it sucks because I know that if he was healthy, things could have been different, and who knows if Goran Dragic is going to be able to get back to the
Right.
finals.
So yeah, a lot you can say about Game 6 and Rondo. For me, when it clicks in your head that Rondo is going to be the player that beats you, then you know you're losing the game, because Rondo is probably top 2, top 3 smartest players in the league that we have. I mean, I marvel at his abilities, at his position, how long he's been in this game. Like, you think about Rondo and you forget that he played for teams like the Kings. Like,
Oh
you
yeah,
know
he
what I
became
mean?
a journeyman a little bit there.
Right. So I'm just like, it clicked in my head, like, yo, this is really the Rondo. Like, this is really Rajon Rondo that we remember as a champion, right? Like, coming out of nowhere right now. So obviously I didn't want him to do that to my team, but it was happy to see, as a basketball fan, what he was able to put on, that clinic he put on in this game. But I told people going into the game, I think, and I'm pretty sure I said it on the last video, the key is going to be Bam Adebayo in this game. And I'll get to Goran Dragic playing in a second, but like I said, if Bam Adebayo does not play well throughout the game, we are not going to win this. And you made a great point about Jimmy Butler being just shot straight up, like he was just tired. It makes sense. And I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh no, you should have kept playing just as hard. Or yeah, of course, if he could, he would have. But I mean, the guy's been carrying this team this whole series on his back. And Bam Adebayo, just someone told me at the end of the game, because he stat padded himself, that he was great. I was like, no, he wasn't great. His impact was not there the entire game. He did not do anything but pad his stats. And I'm not bashing the guy, but I'm just saying, like, he did not do his job, and that he was the X factor for me in that game, because if the shooters don't get going, who's gonna get going? If Jimmy Butler's tired, who's gonna get going? Um, the stage was too big for Tyler Hero. Um, the pressure was just too much on the team overall, and in my opinion, Goran Dragic should not have played that game. I get it; it was a sentimental thing, sort of say, like, yo, this might be the last punch, so you know what, we'll let you play because it's the finals. But him being out on the floor, let's say there was really a game plan to try and save this game, um, which I don't doubt that there was. But let's say that game plan was as serious as it should have been. Goran Dragic should not have played, no matter what it was, because he was still hobbled at the end of the day. If you were going to stick to something, you should have stuck to it. I appreciate him going out there and trying to play, but again, I noticed right away he was not going to make the impact that we all thought he could at least make, even at 75% health. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, I think as far as what you said about Tyler Hero, I think that not necessarily that the stage was too big. I think in Game 6 it looked that way. I think it was the first time that he actually looked like a rookie since this whole playoff run. But I think he was holding up his own during the other games. The thing is, like, we got to give credit to the Lakers as far as Caruso and KCP ended up doing really good job at defending them screens, and being able to make him uncomfortable. So we got to give him credit to that. And that goes into a little bit what we'll get into maybe later about what can Hero do to, step up his game even more. And for me, that's definitely building up a little bit more muscle. He has a size, he's 6'5", 6'6". He has the means, I think, to, really be able. And also, that was the thing. People were saying like he wasn't good at finishing. He was actually pretty damn good at finishing the last couple series. So he actually kind of dramatically improved during the playoff run, which was really surprising. But he definitely needs to bulk up. But that goes into another conversation. For us, before we move on, the one thing I want to talk about real quick is what was a little weird to me is I love Coach Spo. I think he's shown that he's probably the best coach in the NBA right now, and being able to outcoach Brad Stevens, who everybody thinks is like this genius coach, which he is a good coach, but I think Spoelstra has that edge. I think Spoelstra surprised me a lot. He was way, way too stubborn in this game. He did not make a single adjustment. He put Kelly Olynyk when it was, when they're already home. You know what I mean? Like Kelly Olynyk could have made a difference there, especially when Bam was struggling early on in that game. Something. I mean, Derek Jones Jr., Solomon Hill, somebody like when there is that run where he could not buy a bucket, and it seemed like the Lakers were making everything. Do something, try something. You know what I mean? Like I remember in the first quarter, Kendrick Nunn comes in, and right away he makes a three. The Heat are down 16-17. Hype, let's go. Kendrick Nunn game. Yeah, it wasn't the Kendrick Nunn game. But that's the last thing I wanted to kind of mention there was I was really, really surprised that Spoelstra was so stubborn. I'm like, I didn't get it. I think that was like a unprecedented run. And when there's something unprecedented, you got to make a move. You got to adjust something. Try it.
But again, he's notorious for that. We both know that. He's notorious for trying to stick to his guts off too many times when he shouldn't. But yeah, you're right. I mean, even at halftime, someone, I think it was Van Gundy, or I think it was Van Gundy, who said that he should throw in stretch pieces on the floor. He should throw in Kelly Olynyk so that you can draw defenders out and be able to avoid taking tough shots in the paint, because that's basically what it was. Like the game in the first half, the Lakers were just locking up Miami down low. They were not allowing good shots. They were not allowing even tough shots. And that's like, I feel like that's a no-brainer for a coach like Eric Spoelstra. But again, I'm pretty sure he knew that, but he just he was sticking to his guns. So yeah, the Lakers did a great job, like defensively, unbelievable job. Like you would not believe that Miami was unable to make the shots that they took. Like it was weird.
And I feel like that was the only game, honestly, where that dominant defense showed up. Like I didn't think the other games, I think game 2 and game 3, the Heat were shooting incredibly offensively. So I think that was the first time that we really saw it. And I think that this goes into the idea of like once it started getting to like a 15-point lead for the Lakers, I'm like, you could say whatever about LeBron, but his type of play, like the caliber of player he is, with what was on the line, he's not gonna let you come back in that game. So I think that's where it was like, that's the whole thing with like the Heat in this series is just don't get it over 10. You know what I mean? Like that's the key. Because a couple threes here and there, and boom, they're right back in it. Especially when the Heat are really locked on the defensive end. So yeah,
but the Heat had to rely on just not just the Lakers not playing good. They also had to rely on their players showing up. Like that's also like that's the thing with Miami, right? It's the Lakers. The Heat don't show up and the Lakers win. But if you have AD and LeBron and the rest of your players don't show up, you still have a fighting chance to win the game against a team that shows up. Like that's just the way it is.
Yes and no. Yes and no. KCP, I'm not afraid of him.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
I'm not afraid of no Caruso.
Yeah.
Okay, so so that was, a disappointing way to end the season. But let's just talk about how incredible this run was, how unexpected this run was. And I feel like a lot of people can like feel the same way. A lot of people on Heat Twitter that Heat basketball really helped me the last couple months. Honestly, I think I would have gone crazy if I didn't have this run to kind of, keep things going. But let's just talk a little bit about how insanely crazy and unexpected this amazing run for the Miami Heat was.
You go right ahead.
Okay, guys. So that Indiana series, I think we all knew that we were favored in that series. Especially with Sabonis out with a similar injury to Goran. So I was surprised that it was a sweep. I thought it would be, a 5-game series.
The Miami Heat with their first playoff series win since 2016.
87.
As they knock off the Indiana Pacers in a 4-0 opening round sweep.
Oladipo to the Heat, maybe. Let's see what happens. That we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then the second series. Who was the second series?
It was Indiana.
Bucks. What the heck?
Oh yeah,
trash. I'm trash. Okay.
Wait, hold on. Oh yeah, it was the Bucks and
yeah.
then Celtics. Yeah, my bad. I forgot the Bucks were in the conference finals with us.
Yeah. For me, I feel like this is the most insane thing. The idea that we all knew that matchup was favorable for the Heat. Not necessarily that they were going to win, but we felt like they had a really good shot at winning. I was not expecting a 5-game series. I'm sorry.
The Milwaukee Bucks lose. The best team in the NBA is gone. And the Miami Heat going to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 6 years.
And what those people were saying about Giannis got hurt. Giannis didn't get hurt until Game 3. So let's put that to bed. I think if Chris Middleton didn't become Kobe Bryant for 1 game, prime Kobe, I think it would have been a sweep. So that was, and it took, overtime win for them to pull that out. So that was really crazy. And I felt like that really showed the strength of Spoelstra as a coach. And what you were saying about the stubbornness, I felt like that's when the stubbornness worked, where he built the wall. He was consistent with it. The Heat help defense was incredible. I felt like that really needs to be praised. And everybody was involved with that. It wasn't just Iggy, Crowder, Jimmy. Everybody was just really in tune as one. And I felt like that really showed how connected this group was. And then we move on to the Celtics series. And honestly, this was the best feeling because it was the Miami Heat against the world.
Fuck Boston.
Exactly. So the horrible coverage that ESPN was having, super biased, get that trash out of here. All these white journalists picking the Celtics, of course. It was just terrible. And that Bam Adebayo game 6, that's where I knew that he is what's special about this Heat core right now is Bam Adebayo. This guy, 3rd year, what he was able to do in that closeout game. Granted, the Celtics don't have, a comparable center at all. They're big guys. I'm sorry to say it, Tice. That's a wash. You know what I mean? So you guys gonna talk that noise. But that, for me, the best moments was them dominating the Bucks, Bam's game 6, and of course that block.
Tatum out front. Clock at 7. Working against Butler. Got downhill. Couldn't punch it. Bam says, get it out of here. Adebayo sky high with the block and rejection. That's why he's NBA All-Defensive Team. Bam Adebayo went airborne with Jason Tatum, and Adebayo won. Wow. A meeting at the Summit, Doris.
That is a ridiculous defensive play. Jason Tatum is clearly by everybody else, high above the rim. Looks like it's going to be an easy dunk, and Bam says,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
That Bam Adebayo had there. Really incredible stuff. And let's also talk about, the 40-point game that Jimmy Butler had, triple-double. And the other triple-double that Jimmy had. Incredible what Jimmy was, doing. And he proved all the doubters wrong, and I'm happy for that, man.
Yeah, you were spitting some bars. I mean, I every time I think about the Boston series, I laugh. I just hate the Celtics so much. Like, this series made me hate them even more. But back to the Indiana series, I'll start from there. I don't think they were ready for that. again, this is one of those things that the bubble kind of might have changed. I might have had a different opinion about it earlier, but doesn't matter.
Fire that coach. We fired that coach.
That was crazy to me. You just fire a guy after losing in the bubble. Like, come on, guys. Like, this is like the biggest asterisk you can put on the season.
And he got an extension too before that.
Right. That was the crazy part. I remember now. But yeah, I don't think they were ready for that. I don't think Oladipo was ready for that. I don't think Sabonis is good enough for that yet. That was expected. Whatever happened in that series was expected. Then you move on to the Bucks series. That right there. Let me remind everybody. I said they were not going to win. I said the Bucks were not going to move on. Let me remind you that I was the one who said the Bucks were overrated, that they were reliant on Giannis, and that Giannis himself was overrated because he is reliant too much on his size. Common sense. I'm sorry, but it's just straight common sense. And you're going to tell me, yeah, but it's in the bubble. Best record in the league? Come on, man. That's the excuse for the best record in the league, is that it was in the bubble that they lost to the Miami Heat? No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to let that rock if that excuse ever comes up to me again. It straight up was not, the coaching matchup just straight up was not, like, it was incomparable. Eric Spoelstra was going to win that series one way or another. I don't care if it was just favorable. I don't care if people thought Giannis was MVP. I don't care if the Bucks had the best record in the league and that Chris Middleton was your $130 million man who showed up one game. That's just disgusting. Like really? Chris Middleton is paid this much and you're telling me the Bucks need Dante DiVincenzo to show up to games and they need this guy and this guy to show up to games? What happened to Giannis and Chris Middleton and Eric Bledsoe? What happened to those guys? Like, why are we talking about Dante DiVincenzo showing up for you to win games?
Wash.
I'm pretty sure I had this rant already on one of the first episodes, but yeah, that was just, the Bucks were just not ready. Like, the system matters in the playoffs, and I don't care if they had the best record. At the end of the day, the better coaching wins, and the Heat were just way better coached. Onto the Celtics series. A lot annoyed me about that series, but I was confident the Heat were going to win for one reason. They had Bam Adebayo, and the Celtics had Daniel Tice. At first I was worried about Kemba Walker, right? Because, you got Kemba Walker in the backcourt. You got Jason Tatum is guaranteed to give you buckets every night. I was worried about Kemba Walker, but I had realized that he was not doing good in the series before that. And he's going into that series shooting horribly. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, so we're going to have to really kind of take advantage of that as soon as possible. And they did. And Goran Dragic played well. Bam Adebayo played well. Jimmy Butler played well. But the Celtics, again, they're just raw, straight up. The Celtics are raw. They're great. They're talented. Brad Stevens is a prodigy. But the Celtics were raw and they were not ready. The excuse that Daniel Tice was going to defend Bam Adebayo, disgusting. I mean, stupid, straight up blasphemy. What are you talking about? Daniel Tice? Defend who? Who? Stop who? Bam Adebayo? Get the out of here. What the hell is that? That was the worst excuse of this entire playoffs for Miami. I swear to God, that was the most annoying excuse for any team against Miami this series, was that Daniel Tice was going to be a Bam Adebayo stopper. Sorry, no. Kemba Walker didn't show up. The only time I saw him on TV was him complaining. Jason Tatum did whatever he had to do, and Daniel Tice got in foul trouble. Easy. Move on. Next round. These are things that the bubble does not affect people. Come on. Like, the Bucks system is not affected by the bubble. These players should be able to play. If you're that great of a team, you should be able to play that out in the playoffs, in the bubble. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't know because I haven't experienced it, but I know the mental side of things, and I know that affects things, but the level it's kind of unbelievable to me. Like, the level that it changed or the level that it got to, like, where the Bucks weren't able to, like, get that series was weird to me. And the Celtics, Kemba Walker not playing well was surprising to me, but I understood that. But seriously, it's really just about the bias against Miami. Like, come on. Like, let's get real. There's a reason why we constantly talk about culture with this team and talk about their coaching staff and talk about the type of system they put in place for their players. You saw that now. You saw that. You got that because they were ready for a situation like this. Yeah, and there was a lot of kids on that team. Like, there's a lot of young players. Like, what the average age on that team, I think, is 26, 27. But that's because there's 3 or 4 really old players. So, I'm pretty sure point made in this playoffs. And hopefully, God willing, we come back next season and we do the same thing. Well, but we'll see what happens because we're going to talk about a few things that might change. But then we're going to the Lakers series. I was confident going into that series. I was very confident because it more had to do with the fact that I didn't trust the Lakers enough to I didn't think they saw it coming. I didn't think they saw this coming from Miami. I think they saw this as a win, like, easy. Because they made it seem like that. Now, I'm not gonna say they sat in the locker room and LeBron sat in there in the film room and told everybody, "Yo, we're gonna whip their ass" or some shit. I don't think that happened, but I felt like they were more comfortable than they should have been, and that's why it reached the 6-game series. Health wise, that was big. That was huge. It was gut wrenching to hear that in the first game of the series. Like, absolutely just destroyed me hearing that in the first game of the series. I just was speechless. I didn't know what to feel. I don't know what to say because I knew it was over. I knew that series was going to the Lakers at that point. 7 games, if Miami had won, it would have been in 7 games. And then Jimmy Butler showed up. And then I had more confidence again. And I was thinking to myself, okay, even if we get to a game 7, we might have a chance and we might have Goran Dragic. And then I realized, like, no, it's just not realistic. At this point, I'm just being a really hopeful fan. But yeah, I'm proud. I'm proud of this run. Even though it ended on a bitter note, I'm proud of the way it ended because we showed people something. And they can go on next season and they talk about how the Miami Heat made it to the finals, albeit under bubble circumstances. I don't give a flying fuck. Talk about the bubble all you want. We did what we did, and we showed people exactly why we're one of the best teams in the league, like, period, no matter who the players on the roster are.
And I don't think it's a hot take. I think, honestly, if injuries weren't a thing and Goran and Bam were healthy, I think the Heat are the ones lifting up that trophy, honestly. And that's me trying not to be a homer because, like you said, all these circumstances went against them, and they still managed to take it to 6. Jimmy Butler was incredible, had 2 incredible games, one extremely historic game as well, that 40-point game that he had. Just complete remarkable stuff.
One of the smartest players who's played in the NBA. Butler, tough fall away shot is good.
Does, along with Kelly Olynyk, exceptional at handing off and faking handoff.
Nice feed inside. Butler to Crowder. They have connected. 4 to shoot. Butler drives, flips it up and in. Jimmy Butler had that quick release.
There's no way he's going to get back in front of LeBron James.
Kelly Olynyk set up nicely, nails the 3-pointer. Jimmy Butler with his 10th assist. The Laker bench, 46 of their 94 points. Pass inside to Olynyk. Oh, what a feed from Butler. Hero sets the screen. Caldwell Pope picks him up. 1-on-1. Butler backs in. That fall-away shot is up and good. 34 for Butler. It's an 8-point lead. Me the ball. Butler the drive, the runner, he banks it in. Oh, what a masterpiece from Jimmy Butler.
And that was, this Heat team is culture. Heat culture, all this crap that's been said over the years, it's real, you know what I mean? And Jimmy Butler is the definition of that. And, like they say that the Heat organization, they view Jimmy Butler as if Wade and Haslam had a baby. And that is exactly what he is. That man is culture. He has the guts, everything. And to me, this is incredible. But yeah, everybody's going to talk shit about the asterisk and all that. But I'm sorry to burst their bubble. The Miami Heat were the only team that did not publicly talk about how miserable the bubble was. I just saw an article yesterday of the Lakers players talking about it. Danny Green saying, "Oh, I'm finally effing free," and LeBron James saying that it felt like 5 years. Man, get out of here! The Miami Heat, like Haslam said, were built for the bubble. They weren't complaining. You didn't hear a peep from them.
That's
You
because
know,
their organization is literally a bubble. They
Exactly.
treat it like a bubble.
Exactly. So that really showed what's special about the Heat franchise, what's special about this future. And let's go right into it real quick. ESPN power rankings for next season have the Miami Heat ranked as the 9th best team in the NBA. I know Golden State's coming back. I know Brooklyn's coming back. But get that hogwash bullshit out of here. What's your reaction to that?
I feel like ESPN for once is being more realistic than I expected them to be, or just about, just about.
I'm gonna scroll down real quick.
But I just feel like 9th is them saying we don't know what it's gonna look like after the bubble. I just feel like that's all it is this time around, because at the end of the day, this was still like, even if they put us 9th, they still know what type of wake up call this was when it comes to the Heat's kind of come back into the top tier teams in the league. But 9th is I'm pretty sure predicated on we don't know what it's gonna look like after the bubble. And Golden State being up there is very real. Brooklyn being up there, I think, is very real. We all know the Lakers are going to be back up there. The Clippers are going to be back up there. We don't know what's. I was going to say the Bucks, but the Celtics we know are going to be back up there in the mix. But yeah, I feel like I'm not mad at the 9th place, but I feel like it'll end higher than it looks. End of the day.
Yeah, I don't really know what to make for it. Let's go through some of the teams real quick.
Yeah.
On the West, I think you're gonna have to put Lakers number 1, because the Clippers have a lot of shit to figure out. The only thing is, the only saving grace, honestly, is Tyronn Lue just signed a 5-year deal with the Clippers, and he was, of course, Doc Rivers' head assistant coach. So I feel like the difference is not going to be gigantic. It's not going to be a huge transition. But I'm sorry, I can't be a salty Heat fan right now. The Lakers have to be, favorites over the Clippers right now. I think especially after the way they stunk it up, they have to earn that shit. And I felt like that's exactly what got them into the position that they were. They acted like champions before they were champions, which you can never do. So I feel like Lakers number 1, Clippers number 2. Then I have to put Golden State right there. We got to see.
What is it with the Bucks at number 3? What the hell is that?
Yeah, we'll talk about that. So Lakers, Clippers. What is third? Third in the West.
Third in the West is the Nuggets.
The Nuggets over the Warriors.
The Nuggets, the Warriors are actually 5th in the West.
Okay, you want to go? You have their power rankings?
The whole thing?
Yeah.
I have the not by conference. I just have the entire.
Okay, so rank it real quick.
So it's Lakers, Clippers, Bucks, Nuggets.
No. Definitely not the Bucks. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
you fucking up.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. So 3rd Bucks, 4th Nuggets, 5th Mavericks, 6th Warriors, Celtics, Sixers, Miami, and the Nets at top.
Okay, so how are the Sixers, and how in the world, how are the Sixers so high? And also Mavericks. I'm sorry, Luka is amazing, but hell no. Porzingis just got hurt too. What are you talking about?
I mean, look. The Mavs are dangerous.
They can't defend. They can't play defense.
I know, but they
don't play no defense.
If Porzingis was healthy for that series, that he got, they could have beat the Clippers. I feel like, I don't know. Am I being too optimistic? Because it's Luka.
I just think defensively they only have one pretty okay defensive player. Not really. I think that's really what is keeping them. They need a elite perimeter defender. They need somebody.
Yeah, well, this list is clearly out of whack.
Yeah, the
Blazers are 14th.
Get that hot noise out of here. You think Doc Rivers is gonna save that? Are you serious? They got to make some serious roster moves. The Raptors, man, I feel like they're really up in the air right now. Because I feel like there's a good chance that Lowry was gonna be gone.
Right. What is this list?
Okay,
the Magic are 20th. What? Over the Spurs.
I'm dead. Okay, so this is my ranking.
Yeah.
Lakers.
Okay.
Lakers. Clippers. Lakers, Clippers, If they're healthy, Brooklyn, Denver. I put the Heat at 5.
So let me get my pen and paper.
I think the Heat at the 5th. And then 6. Who's 6? Probably the Warriors. So I'll say top 5 is Lakers, Clippers, Nets if they're healthy, Nuggets, and then the Heat. You go flip flop the Heat and Nuggets, depending on what the Heat do in the offseason.
I got you right now.
Don't make any moves besides re-signing Crowder and Goran. I feel like the Heat are 5th. If they make a move, and we'll talk about that, and that's how we're gonna finish this up. If they make a move, I think the Heat are 4th.
So right now, yeah, the Heat are gonna be lower for me regardless. I'm just right now I have 7. I feel like these are the most important teams. I'll keep it at that. So 1 is the Lakers for me. 2 is the Clippers, depending on them getting their chemistry together. 3 is the Nets. Obviously, given that Kyrie and KD are going to work together as a scorer and a ball handler combo. The Nuggets, because their formula is just successful. The Warriors, Steph and Clay are going to come back guns a-blazing, and they will have Andrew Wiggins as another scorer on that team. The Heat, for obvious reasons. Then you have the Celtics. Then you got Portland at 8. And after that, it's really just a toss-up for every other team, really, in my opinion. Yeah, the Mavericks I put at 9. The Bucks, depending on what happens with them, they're 10th.
I feel like the Warriors are gonna be good, but honestly, for some reason, because I feel like Steph is gonna come back really guns blazing.
I feel like Steph's gonna be next season's MVP.
I feel like Klay Thompson is gonna take him some time. But for me, it's not necessarily I don't believe in Wiggins. I just think it's gonna take a little bit. Like I think that with the emergence of teams like the Heat, the Nuggets, and even some teams like the Dallas Mavericks, I feel like it's not gonna be a cakewalk for the Warriors in the sense that these teams have emerged since they've been absent. So I think it's like a double-edged sword. Like they've been gone for a little while. They want to come back guns blazing. And I feel like what you said about Curry, about Steph being MVP candidate, I feel like that's a possibility. I definitely agree.
I already called that actually. Like I made a whole video about it. I don't know if I think I might have posted it, but yeah, these power rankings are really just depending on the teams themselves.
Yeah.
And with the Warriors, it's really just about their system and their formula. Like Wiggins can fit in that just as KD did.
Who's their big right now? I have no idea who their big is.
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure Draymond's going to be their big. Yeah, it's just depending on the fact that their formula is going to work with Andrew Wiggins, and I feel like I'm confident that it will. Golden State.
No, but I definitely view the Heat as especially with the shooters. Bam's gonna emerge even more. I felt like I had a conversation on Twitter about this, about Bam Adebayo and what he's the focus. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I don't want to cut you off, but Kevin Looney and Marquise Chris are their bigs.
Whoa. Who's the second one? I know Looney.
Oh, Willie Cauley is Willie Cauley-Stein still on that team? I'm pretty sure, yeah. Willie Cauley-Stein is on that team. Oh, never mind. He's not on the ESPN roster. That is weird. Have I missed something? Wow. We've been out of touch.
Yeah, I don't even know what's going on there.
Yeah, but I knew it was going to be small ball. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's
I
the
think
point.
they have it's the 3rd pick that they have, something like that.
It might be.
I know it's top 5.
But again, they have some talented kids on that bench as well.
They should probably trade that, to be honest.
They got Jordan Poole. They got Eric Pascal. Shout out New York.
They should trade that pick.
To get it, yeah.
They need a big.
But like to think, yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? Like they're really on the verge. They're just one player away from being
Yeah,
just
imagine if they
another
get
super
somebody
team.
like Gallo. Would that make sense?
I think you just want a role
Draymond
player
can play
big for
some.
that team.
The
I feel
big.
like the big. I feel like for the Warriors, it's the one team where you don't have to worry about having a big who can do a lot. You just want someone who can fit in your system with the
Damn,
Warriors.
who's that guy in Detroit? That big.
Oh, Christian Wood.
I think that's somebody that should go after. He could shoot.
Yeah. He has I think he's a free agent, so they don't have to trade anything for him.
Oh
so.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, that is true, yeah.
Yeah. He's gonna be someone tweeted he was gonna probably be worth around 9.3 million. Which is actually good because I remember looking at him when he was with the Sixers, and I'm saying to myself, the way him and Rashawn Holmes showed up, and made a little bit of a name for themselves, that they were going to be worth something going forward. So I'm glad to see that Christian Wood is in the mix now, and Rashawn Holmes obviously is doing his thing, I think, in Phoenix. But yeah, that's beside the point.
Yeah, this is not a Warriors podcast, real quick.
Yeah.
So I got a little carried away there. But yeah, I think that I feel like they're gonna come, out guns blazing. I think Curry is, but I don't know, for some reason I have a gut feeling that they're not gonna be this top team yet. I don't know. I feel like it's gonna take a little bit of a buffer period. Okay, so let's end things on potential things that the Heat could do in the off season. Some people are saying that they should just like bring it back, re-sign Goran, probably a 1-year deal. Probably a sweet kind of deal there, like maybe, I don't know, 16 million, something like that, 1 year, and then kind of like wink, wink. We'll do a 2 or 3 year deal after that for less money. So the balloon payment type of thing. I feel like Goran Dragic deserves it. I felt like he's been here, he's ride the wave, with all the shit that, the Dion Waiters, the Luke Babbitt, all this kind of stuff. He was always there. He was supposed to be the difference maker in a team led by Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade. That never happened, of course. And he played his heart out. He was our leading scorer in the playoffs. Man, the Dragon was here. You got to take care of business. And I'm sorry, Pat. I love you, but if this whole Heat culture matters, you gotta do that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, of course.
And it's not like Dwayne Wade on his last years type of thing. Goran Dragic still has basketball in him. I'm sorry to say it. I don't know if it's 2 years. I don't know if it's 3 years. But Goran Dragic has a lot left in the tank. So some people are saying that re-sign him, re-sign Crowder, probably let Derrick Jones Jr. go, probably let Myers Leonard go, unless he takes like a really good deal. Let's see. And, probably try to get another big, maybe like a Nerlens Noel. Maybe, try to get, Gallinari, something like that. I don't know. Or a cheap big, a G League type. I don't know. So that's one thing that people are saying they should run it back. Or do the Heat make a move this offseason? Or do they wait for 2021, continue building up those assets? And real quick, before I get your thoughts on everything, one of the things that people are talking about is Oladipo. Of course, Oladipo has been dealing with that injury, the quad injury that he had. And he had some moments in the playoffs. You could tell that he's still not 100%. And some people are thinking of, Kelly Olynyk, Kendrick Nunn, and maybe, the 20th pick for Oladipo. And some people think it's not worth it. Some people think it is. Oladipo does make the Heat better. Another playmaker, been pretty damn good from 3. Also, really good defender. And I feel like that's something that the Heat need. I think he will fit in the system. But does it make sense to give up those assets at this point? I don't know. What are your thoughts? Should the Heat run it back? Should the Heat go after Oladipo? Or do they wait for the Whales in 2021?
They got a lot of options this offseason. Let me just say that off the bat. They have a lot of options. When it comes to our roster, they could pay Goran and pay Bam Adebayo this year. Or they can pay Goran, but you got to pay Goran this offseason. You just got to. And you can try and trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo. And then you pay Bam Adebayo next year. or you can pay both these guys, like I said before, and just sign out Giannis the year after that. But you bring up the option with Oladipo. You pay Goran, you wait on Bam to pay him next year, but your options are Oladipo and Giannis, apparently reporting. Oladipo does make the Heat better. No doubt about it. But you need to fill the front court with better backups. That's just a given. Like, I feel like Oladipo is going to bring that scoring punch that I told you about that someone like Paul George would bring. But, you know, the backcourt's solid. The backcourt's going to be solid regardless. So I like it. You kind of make it easier on yourself with the options by getting rid of Kendrick Nunn. You also get bodies off of your roster like Myers Leonard or Kelly Olynyk that you can replace with better options for your system. I don't mind that. I just don't know how the ball sharing is going to be. That's the only issue with me. Again, Oladipo does score the ball, but he needs the ball to score at the same time. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to what I was saying about Paul George is you can just he's flexible. So that's my only issue with Oladipo. I just don't know how the sharing is going to work with Goran Dragic needing the ball heavy, Jimmy Butler having the ability to stay off the ball, but when you need scoring, you're gonna have to go to him as well.
Not to cut you off real quick, but as far as Oladipo's fit, I think he fits well with Jimmy. Jimmy doesn't always have to have the ball. I felt like, you know, he plays really good off the ball. And even in the playoffs, he kind of had to, you know, with all the injuries to Goran and Bam, he kind of had to take that up a notch. But also Oladipo, pair him with a coach like Spo,
and
he's going to be really great off the ball. And I felt like, yep. And the Heat are great. You know, they're the best cutting team in the NBA last season. So I feel like he could really, you know, fit. But for me, I feel like the thing is it worth giving up those assets for basically a 1-year rental, even though I feel like if he comes here, he would want to stay, you know, because, you know, his mom lives here, he trains here. I think he loves Miami. So I think that's a good shot, but then it's a little risky with the injury. To be honest, though, I feel like it's not a devastating injury. It's not like Achilles. It's nothing like that. Yeah, it's something that is like the core, you know, with the quad or whatever. Was it the quad? It was in the general area. I felt like he could, you know, come back from that. So my thing is, I don't know if it's worth it to do that. But okay, continue.
No, if you're the Heat, the injury thing is obviously a big deal, but that's just gonna come with it. If you feel like, I kind of got lost in the sauce there, forgetting that, you know, the type of player Jimmy Butler was. But yeah, you throw Oladipo in there to get that extra punch. You got a big he can share the ball with, like Bam Adebayo, who's basically Sabonis and Miles Turner combined. Very athletic and agile, obviously. But then you have the point guard next to him, like Goran Dragic, and then you have the shooters surrounding him. So that's a pretty good combination. Now that I think about it,
and I feel like Goran will come off the bench, and I feel like that's the role that he excels in.
Ooh, that's different. I like that. Tyler Hero would probably start then, and then Goran would be the guy off the bench, or Duncan would start or something.
I think Duncan will.
Yeah, Duncan will start.
Yeah, because I feel like Duncan, that thing about like the pool that he creates, I felt like it works best. And I was kind of saying that in the playoffs, should he come off the bench? But no, stat-wise, he are an elite offense when he's on the court.
Yeah, and then you would have that punch, that 1-2 punch with Goran and Tyler off the bench. That would make a lot more sense. You're right about that. But yeah, I agree. I agree on the Oladipo thing. It would work, but I don't think it would be a 1-year rental. I think I feel like it's a in our heads or on paper, it's a successful formula. But if you're gonna give up those assets, you can't let it be a 1-year rental. You can't get rid of Kendrick Nunn and Kelly Olynyk and your pick, and just use Oladipo to try and make another run at a championship. Because again, season's going to be different. You don't know what it's gonna look like, but you cannot let it be a 1-year rental. You better hope that he stays healthy, and you better hope that you make a good enough run that you can re-sign him, because you will have the space to and flexibility to. What do you think about the Giannis news?
Yeah, so the Giannis news, Shams, he basically tweeted that the Miami Heat are going all in for him, for Giannis in 2021. And that's kind of, I don't think they're going to trade for, it makes no sense to trade for Giannis, honestly. And, especially
Yeah,
that,
I'm sorry. I read that wrong. I thought they were saying 2020.
yeah, so 2021, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
because you would have to give up Tyler, you would have to give up Duncan, something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. My bad.
And just for another year, we might as well. And also he has the same agent as Bam Adebayo, and that goes into what the Heat should do with Bam. Bam needs to get paid. Bam needs to be the max player.
He will regardless.
He's the future, exactly. Do you think that it would be a mistake for the Miami Heat not to extend him? Because the thing is, he has a cap hold of $12 million. That re-signing him um, now will create, and that will lessen the flexibility that the Heat have. If they were to pay him next year, that's not really a factor. But do you think, especially after he had this injury, do you think that it's risky for them not to extend it right now?
Risky not to, yes. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure he can get paid more if he waits, right?
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah. But like either way, he's on the roster. So if you want to add another player to your roster this year, then you can pay Goran and add that player and just pay Bam what he really deserves next year, because but he might ask for the extension this year, so they're gonna listen. And if they think they want to run it back, then they're gonna pay him this year and just call it a day.
Yeah, I feel like after, and it kind of what happened in all those bad contracts, with James Jones, Tyler Johnson, Hassan Whiteside. It was probably the least worst one out of all those.
James Johnson.
James Johnson, that was brutal. Dion Waiters, the likes of them. And like what Pat Riley said, the culture slipped. He allowed it to slip, and you cannot allow Bam Adebayo to slip out of your hands. You just can't. Because I felt like in today's NBA, he's low-key a unicorn in the sense that he was kind of built for the 90s. And he's kind of just like throwing it in 2020. So yeah, he's the future. And I think he proved it in Game 6 against the Boston Celtics that, yeah, Tyler Hero is amazing. Yeah, Duncan Robinson. Yeah, Kendrick Nunn had a great year. But Bam Adebayo is that special player, and you got to keep him as well. Okay, so we were talking about do the Heat just keep the guys, resign Dragic, Crowder, try to find another big? I like Nerlens Noel as the backup big, and I feel like they could get him for cheap, and he's trying to rejuvenate his career. I feel like Miami would be a perfect place. Yeah, he might be a little skinny, but he's a great shot blocker. He's really good vertically, great rebounder. He would be great as the backup for Bam.
He's a very good active player in the paint. He's very high.
Player.
He's high energy. Yeah, he's high energy down low. Offense and
Silva
defense.
with skill.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. Agility and skill is what Nerlens Noel brings.
Okay, so the option is to bring back everybody, go after somebody like Oladipo, maybe, do the extension with Bam if he asked for it, or do the Miami Heat wait for 2021 and try to secure Giannis and hope that him and Bam having the same agent helps, hoping that he wants to come to Miami. I felt like a thing about Miami that people don't really talk about, super big melting pot, and him being from Greece and all that, I felt like he would really enjoy the weather, especially. He would enjoy the atmosphere, no state tax, all this kind of stuff, the conventional stuff. And honestly, I thought about this the other day. I do think people think like, oh, he's not gonna leave. He cares too much about Milwaukee. I think he really sees the value about them drafting him. But I feel like he's the type of player that will go somewhere and stay there the rest of his career. His legacy is not the same as LeBron. Like, it was clear that once LeBron made his move to Cleveland, it's like he wants championships. That's all he cares about. So my thing is, I think if whoever gets Giannis, I hope it's the Heat, but whoever gets Giannis, I feel like he's going to stay there for the rest of his career. And I feel like that's something different. And that I feel like it's going to motivate Pat Riley to okay, we got to make it work. And I know that you're not a big proponent on getting him, But honestly, with this Heat development staff, Eric Spoelstra, Pat Riley, Alonzo Mourning, all these guys, this culture, I think they're gonna make the best version of Giannis, and I feel like it's worth a shot because he has the physical features and the physical capability to be one of the best to ever play. What do you think?
I agree about the whole development thing, but are you gonna play this season out and continue the success, maybe even reach the same point again, and then hit another button? Like, that's the only thing I'm thinking about is, like, are you gonna run it back, or are you possibly gonna add other players, or whatever it is you decide to? You really, this offseason, you can't go wrong. You can run it back with the same guys. You can throw in another guy and just get rid of some assets. That's not a big deal. But I don't doubt that they can develop him into the best player he can possibly be. I'm just saying, like, at what cost will you get Giannis? Like, at what cost is that change gonna come? You know, so that's the only question I have. And again, if I feel like Paul George would be better with the Heat, then of course I think in a much long and not a much longer time, but in a little bit of a longer stretch, he can be a much better player with Miami. Obviously, it's just that I look at where you are right now and like the direct fit you can add to the team to just get you over the hump. Giannis's addition, I don't know if that gets you over the hump just yet, even though it will eventually. But I'm thinking like next year you want to make it back to the finals, or the year after that you want to make it straight back to the finals. Next year you won't make it back to the finals, in my opinion, the way this team is. The year after that still might not, even if you get Giannis, because you'll be in a different like, you know, in a different kind of shape as a team.
Do you think they could make the finals with Oladipo?
No.
Eastern Conference Finals?
Probably. But like, yeah, again, you need a generational player to bring you back to the finals under regular circumstances, because I'm pretty sure the season's going to be shortened again. Year after that. Not necessarily.
I think that if COVID is still around, which probably is, I think they're going to do a bubble like the MLB. Or because like basically what they were doing was having a couple locations and then playing in empty arenas. But I feel like they might do something like that where it's like 2 or 3 arenas and that's where they play.
So to accommodate for travel?
Yeah. So like you're not stuck in one place. You're moving around.
Right.
And then also that gives you the flexibility for them to see their families and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the best move is to do something like that. They cannot do a regular bubble. I don't think they're going to buy in.
Yeah, that's a pretty big commitment for a whole season, not just 3 months.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap it up here. Let's just end it. What do you think the Heat are gonna do? And I'll go first real quick. I think the Miami Heat are not gonna do anything gigantic, but I kind of feel that they're gonna make the move. They're gonna trade for Oladipo, and they're gonna wait for 2021. And get in the room with Giannis.
Oh, you're going big, huh?
So I think they're going after Oladipo. I honestly really think that it's a good fit. And I feel like they'll be confident that they could re-sign him. But let's see. I mean, there's a lot of things with Goran to see what they do. And also, like, Drew Holiday, I want him on this team. But I don't know if they're going to give him up because, you know, they're building that team. And he's one of the best perimeter defenders at the guard position. And I don't think you give up on a guy like that right now.
I feel like they have to make a decision this offseason that determines every offseason for the next couple of years. If you decide to go after a player this offseason, you're not going to add Giannis because you're just going to keep throwing wrenches on wrenches. And I just don't know if that's a lot. Like, I just think that's a lot to keep doing over and over again. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I know Jimmy Butler was a perfect fit. What are you going to do with the assets that you give up? And then what are you going to do when you have to, like, if you basically pay Goran and trade for Oladipo, are you going to pay Bam or are you going to wait till next year and try to pay Bam and add Giannis? it's just a lot. It's just a lot of moving pieces. I don't know if it'll work out, but I feel like depending on what they do this offseason, it's gonna make the decision for next offseason. If they add a player this offseason, they're not gonna go after Giannis. I just don't see it.
The only reason why I think is like what you said about the bubble environment. I think that he knows that not necessarily is a fluke, but the idea that things are going to change a little bit, but that I feel like he thinks that they need a little bit of an edge. And the thing is, as far as the assets, I'm sorry to give up on Kendrick Nunn, but I feel like he doesn't bring anything that's super unique that you cannot get elsewhere. So, and then Olynyk, yeah, he's a good, solid backup big, but also he could play himself off the court a lot of times with his lackluster
your success
defense.
this season was a lot of your depth. Like it really a lot of your success came because of your depth. So are you gonna add players to replace, or are you gonna add players to make sure that you stay as deep as you were? Or are you going to be so confident in your starting five that you can just put a 1-2 punch off the bench and call it a night?
I think you have to be confident in the sense of also, I think that I think the Heat are fine with the Heat being a defensive-minded team. I think they're always going to lean that way. And I just think Oladipo's upside in that. But again, I don't know. I just have a gut feeling that Pat Riley is not gonna just want to just keep it the same. I feel like he's gonna do something.
Yeah,
I feel like getting rid of Olynyk, Kendrick, and maybe that pick. Yeah, it sounds like a lot, but if you think about it, not really. Because I think it creates a flexibility of if he's healthy, having another playmaker that could defend at a high level, that could mean a lot. And I feel like that's at the end of these games, the Miami Heat. That's with the Lakers. If they had a guy like Oladipo, things could have been different because, Bam Adebayo was 70% probably, and Jimmy Butler was a point guard. Like, they had nobody else because, Goran's injury. So
wait, so are you saying that Oladipo will be a 1-year rental, or he's going to be addition to Giannis?
I feel like he could be – it's a little bit of a hard situation because let's say they do a 1-year deal, right? And a 1-year deal with Goran. But then let's see how much Goran is willing to take less next season. I feel like that could be significant if the Heat do the balloon payment, where they like, okay, we're going to take care of you this year. Wink, wink. Come back, but we can't pay you, $14 million a year. Like, you have to make I feel like if Goran is willing to take that discount and be that sixth man off the bench, I feel like that creates. But if that number is not necessarily that flexible, then I feel like, 1-year rental. And I feel like, let's see what the improvement would be. But I just think like they need that extra punch. And I think that they need somebody that could handle the ball outside of Jimmy and Bam.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that. I agree. It just, so basically it's all kind of conditional, basically.
Exactly. And then also I feel like the one person that they can't touch is KZ. I know Heat fans, we think that he's going to become Giannis 2.0. But I think especially that I feel like the Heat are going to lose Derek Jones Jr. I feel like KZ could come right in and become.
No, I feel like KZ will be better than Giannis.
He'll be better. He's a ball. He can handle the ball too. Like
he can shoot as well. Yeah, I think I said he was. I forgot who I compared him to, but it was somebody big time that I compared him to. Yeah, no, besides the point.
Yeah. So if the Miami Heat give up Kelly Olynyk, Kendrick Nunn in that 20th pick for Oladipo, and Oladipo is healthy, and offers what he offers, I like that. I like that.
The pick is this year, right?
Yeah, it's the 20 pick.
Yeah. Why not? Go for
it. But that KZ, keep KZ. You don't include him.
Oh yeah, I like KZ. I really, really like KZ.
So yeah, okay, guys.
He's raw, but his upside is amazing. I know that.
And that's exactly what. That's the kind of asset that he has to keep. Like, you can't mess around with that asset. But long story short, the Miami Heat are back, baby. We're back, baby. Okay. It was impressive what happened. The bubble was an experience. Thank you, Miami Heat. We're grateful, and we're excited for what the future has in store. Pat Riley, make those moves. And just, I want to end with one thing. I feel like Pat Riley, Giannis is his last punch. I feel like round is the final round. If he lands Giannis, that man could just go off, go to Italy, go to Malibu, just go into the distance as the Godfather, the GOAT. I think he wants one more chance. Throw them rings on the table.
Yeah.
3-4. Let's go. We out here. That is the fourth episode
baby.
of the MHM
Heat Nation.
Reboot.
Let's go. Peace.
Back. Oladipo to Heat.
Bike.
Let's go.
We bike.
We bike.
Oh, you got me excited.
Got you hype.
Got me hype.
Hype.
I like that. My son's gonna sail off into the sunset. That man is the greatest person in the NBA of all time. I just know.
GOAT. That's swag, man.
So cool.
I'm gonna put that video right now of Jimmy Butler pointing up at him. OG. Right up.
Was it at the end of Game 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the one where he was kind of the picture of him with the rafters or something like that behind him.
GOAT.
No. Yeah.
GOAT. Andy Ellisberg. GOAT.
Man. I feel good.
GOATs.